In this tutorial, we are going to solve the animation part for the Cambridge A-level IT Paper 4. In our previous tutorial, we learned how to draw the rocket and save its accompanying files separately. So let's dive into the question. Task 2, Animation. Create an animation of your spaceship landing. Set the frame size to 900 pixels high by 400 pixels wide. Set the color to dark blue and the hex code has been given in the brackets. Then we have to add the stars and the gantry images to create a stage exactly as shown. Note, spaceship travels in front of the stars and stops behind the gantry. Use the image you created in task 1 to create the following sequence. So we've been given a sequence here of our spaceship flying from outside of the frame up and above the frame, and then it comes in as it descends and lands behind the gantry, and then the flame goes off. Now, the spaceship must enter the stage from the left as shown and take 1 second to rise above the top of the frame. Make sure you match the size of the spaceship, the size of the frame, and their positions as shown in example 1. The spaceship must then take 4 seconds to descend smoothly with the flame changing as shown in examples 2, 3, and 4. Note the size of the flame in each example. One second after the spaceship has landed, the flame must disappear as shown in example 5. Save your animation as an animated GIF file named landing, followed by your center number and candidate number. So here we are in Adobe Animate, and we are going to begin by creating our stage. The width should be 400 by the height 900. You go to the size of the stage and click on Fit to Window, and then we create the background using the rectangle tool. So I'm just going to select the rectangle tool, go to the fill, type in the hex color provided, and enter. Draw a random rectangle on your stage. Go back to your selection tool, select the rectangle, and let's make it fit to the stage by changing the width in the properties panel under object to 400 and the height to 900. You can use the selection tool then to reposition it to fit onto the stage. And then we come down to the layers panel and rename it as BG for background. We now need to add the other items that form part of the items that will not be animated. So we go into File, Import to Library. Then I'm going to select the gantry and then the stars for now. Click on Open. When you have this warning, make sure Import all parts into the same layer and frame is selected. So this is for the gantry. Click OK. And this is for the stars. Do the same selection. Click OK. So I'm going to bring in the items, but before then, let's create the layers. So I'm going to create a layer for the stars, rename it, can name it stars 1. And let's go into the library and pick up stars, drag and drop. And let's use a free transform tool, mine is already selected, to resize and position so that it fits what is on the question paper. We're going to create another layer for the gantry. Go into the library, pick gantry SVG, drag and drop. With the free transform still selected, go to one of the corners, hold down shift whilst you resize so that it doesn't get distorted. And then we position it where it's supposed to be so that it matches what we have on the question paper. Next, let's bring in the spaceship and the flames. Once again, we go to File, Import to Library. I'm going to pick my flame and spaceship. Note that you can convert your spaceship and flame into PNG formats before you bring it into Animate. In so doing, if the artwork has any form of gradient or shadow, it is still maintained. So we're going to create a layer for the spaceship. So down in our layers panel, I'm going to create a new layer, rename the spaceship. So from our library, I pick the PNG version, drag and drop. I'm going to use my shift key and resize it so that it doesn't get distorted, and position it where it's supposed to begin from. Now we're going to create the layers for the flame, and we're going to do that behind the spaceship layer. Rename the layer flame. Now let's bring in our flame onto the stage. Now we're going to zoom in and place it exactly where it's supposed to be, just beneath the spaceship. We can zoom in further to be sure. So we have our spaceship and flame at position 0. Let's make a quick reference to the question paper and see how long our animation must last. So it says here the spaceship must enter the stage from the left as shown and take 1 second to rise above the top of the frame. And then we come to the second paragraph. It says the spaceship must then take 4 seconds to descend smoothly with the flames changing as shown. Okay. So on the 4-second mark or on the 5-second mark, our spaceship must descend. 1 second after the spaceship has landed, the flame must disappear. So we have 1 second, 2, 3, 4, 2, and then we have 5. So 1 second to the top, then it descends within 4 seconds down, and then the flame goes off. You should also take note of the behavior of the flame as the spaceship makes its descent. At the beginning, it's of normal size, then In the second sequence, it increases in size a bit and has 2 ends. In the next sequence, it's seen to have 3 ends. And in the fourth second, it reduces in size again with 1 end, and in the fifth second, it disappears. So looking at the reference we just made, we need to make some adjustments to the flame layer. We're going to duplicate the flame layer twice. And rename the topmost layer flame 1, followed by flame 2, and the last one flame 3. Now let's select our spaceship layer and add a motion tween. It will give you a pre-warning of converting it to a symbol. Just click OK. And also, since we now know that our animation will last for 5 or 6 seconds in total, we can extend the background, the stars, and the gantry to that time. So let's look for 5 seconds. And select the frames on the background layer, the stars layer, and the gantry layer. Then we select the insert keyframe icon and we select insert frame. We go back to frame 1 where we had created a motion tween for spaceship, and let's form a guide along which our rocket or spaceship is going to descend. So let's go into view, select rulers, resize our stage to fit in window so that we can see the gantry. Pick a vertical guide from the left rule, drag it and position it to where it should be. Let's go ahead and extend our background and then a motion tween for the spaceship. The animation is actually going to last for 6 seconds. So I'm going to extend the background further. Once again, locate 6 seconds on your timeline. Select the background, the stars and the gantry, and insert frame. Let's go back to spaceship layer and extend the motion tween to last the entire duration of the animation. Come back to the beginning of the playhead or the beginning of the timeline, and this time around we need to ensure that wherever the spaceship goes, the flame follows. So we're going to parent the flame to the spaceship, and to do that we are going to use this icon showing here, show parenting view. We click on it once, and these green rectangles you see, you click and drag as though you are placing them on the spaceship layer. When you release, you have this attachment showing. So we do the same thing for flame 2 and flame 3. Let's come back to flame 1 and insert a motion tween. So we do the same thing for flame 2 create a motion tween. So we hold on to that of flame 3 for now. And on the 1 second mark, we select spaceship. Now we reduce the size of our stage to say 35. And still with the spaceship layer selected, ensure your selection tool is active. Click and drag the entire spaceship till it gets out of the stage. Scroll up a little bit, send it up a little further. Now pick your free transform tool and rotate it so that it's pointing upright. Once again, with the free transform tool, click and drag it till it snaps to the guide we created. Pick your selection tool, bring it close to the path and form a curve. Now that we have ascended above the frame, we can now start the descent. I am going to go to 4 seconds after the 1 second descent, that's 5 seconds. And I'm going to click and drag my spaceship down to where the gantry is. Let's go back to the first frame. And when we do a click scrub through, we have something like this, and then the descent. We'll not be needing a guide for now, so I'm going to click, hold Control and the semicolon to hide it. Let's now extend the motion tween for flame 1 and 2 and animate them as well. So I select flame 1, bring my cursor close to the edge of the motion tween and drag till I get to the 5 second mark. Go back to the beginning and go to the 2 second mark. Let's look for the 2 second mark. Select flame 1. Let's zoom in. And here we are going to make changes to the size and add a slight rotation to it. Pick the free transform tool. Make sure the anchor is at the top, like this. You can increase the size a little bit, and then rotate it to the right. Select the layer beneath, layer 2. Bring its anchor point to the top as well. Increase the size a little bit and rotate it to your left. We now move on to the next second as a 3 second mark. Let's scroll down. And it is at this point that the third layer appears, or the third flame appears. So we go back to flame 3. Make sure flame 3 is selected. And then we insert a motion tween. Now we select the entire layer, click and drag it along your timeline till you get to 3 seconds. In so doing, it instantly starts your flame, your third flame from layer 3. And for that, we just need to increase the size a little bit, but make sure the anchor point is at the top. And hold shift whilst you increase it so that it doesn't get distorted. I will click on flame 1 as well and rotate it to the right a little further. Click on flame 2 and rotate it to the left a little further. Note that as you do these things on the motion tween, it creates a keyframe instantly. Now I've noted that with the 1 or 2 second mark animation of the flames look a bit smaller. So we go back to 2 seconds. Let's scroll up. That was when we had the flames divided into 2. Click on the keyframe of flame 1. Pick the free transform tool and let's resize it by reducing the size. You can hold shift whilst you do that. Click on flame 2. Hold shift whilst you reduce the size. Now as the animation nears the 5 second mark, your spaceship must come to land behind the gantry. And as it lands behind the gantry, the flame must be united into one once again. But before we do that, let's extend flame 3, the motion tween for flame 3, so that it also ends at 5. So what we can do is come to the 4 second mark, and then we can start uniting the flames from this point. So I'm going to zoom in once again, scroll down till we get to that point, and do the necessary rotations. Now let's bring in our guide. Press Ctrl and semicolon to give us some sort of so select flame 2, rotate till it gets behind flame 1, and flame 3 is already in the middle, so that doesn't need to be rotated. Now we come to the end of the animation for the flames, these 3, and then we insert a keyframe for each layer. We now move to 6 seconds for flame layer 1, flame 1, 6 seconds, and then we insert a frame. Still with that layer selected, we go to properties, select the object on the stage, as in the flame, make sure it's selected. and make sure your keyframe or your playhead is on the 6-second mark. Go to color effects and let's look for alpha. And under alpha, we change the blend mode to 0. Now this will enable the flame to fade out after 5 seconds. But we need to make sure as at 5 seconds, we still have a flame of 100% opacity. So bring your playhead back to 5, select that layer, select the flame, and change the alpha to 100. Now we have this fade out of the flame as soon as the spaceship lands. Let's go back to where it began and scrub through our playhead to make sure we have everything right. I'm going to reduce this to 100. So at the beginning, our rocket is supposed to go out of the frame at the 1 second mark, after which it begins a descent where we have the flame, 2 flames showing beneath. And then when we get to the 3 second mark, we have 3 flames showing. I think the 3 flames are not vivid enough, so what we can do is, so I'm going to select layer 1, pick the free transform tool once again, flame layer 1, rotate it a bit further to my right, and flame layer 2 goes a bit to the left, like this. So after we've had our 2 flames, when we come in, we have our 3rd flame appearing. Let's continue to scrub through as it makes a descent. The flames come together. And as it lands, and then the flames disappear. So let's run a test and see how this ends up. So before we export, let's make a few adjustments to the size of the stars and the positioning as well. So I'm going to select my stars layer, position it to the right a bit, hold down shift whilst I hold the top right corner and drag upwards. And I'm going to bring my playhead to the beginning. Like this. As it makes the descent, I want the big star to be a bit on the right, or sorry, on the left of my rocket. So still with the stars layer selected, I move that to my right, like this, decrease the size a bit, and I think we are good to go. So to export this in animated GIF as required, we go to File, Export, and select Animated GIF. So when the export image window appears, make sure your type is on GIF and just click on Save. Make sure it's pointing at your exams folder, and then you type in landing underscore, I'm going to add my imaginary center number and candidate number. Click on Save, then we are done. So one new thing I'm sure you've learned today is to parent a layer to the other whilst the child layers have their own animation. If you did enjoy this tutorial, kindly subscribe if you haven't done so yet. And until we meet in the next video, it's bye.